What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Badi. This is a clip from the YouTube show, so please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and give me your thoughts in the comments section below. Without further ado, on with the show. Oh boy, it's been a long time, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Well, listen, the Bleacher Report brought out a quarterbacks list, and, Jeremy Fowler has a quarterback list that's out there asking NFL executives to rank their quarterbacks. And none other than Super Bowl MVP quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles cracked the top 10, but he made it at number 9. And Eagle fans are irate. And they're looking at this list and they're saying, are you kidding me? The guy just came off Super Bowl MVP. And he's not even a top 5 quarterback. And it's been getting a lot of stir and a lot of rumors and not rumors. It's just been getting a lot of content out of people who are talking NFL. And it's a very polarizing topic, our quarterback, Jalen Hurts, because on one hand, you look at him and you say, hey, if resume matters for a quarterback, you got to look at Jalen Hurts' resume and say, hey, how does he stack up with the rest of the guys in the NFL? And it's easy to say, like, hey, listen, Super Bowl MVP, he's the only other quarterback in the NFC outside of Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers to have a Super Bowl title. At least that's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. And then in the AFC side of things, Patrick Mahomes is there, who's the king of the AFC, and really no one else has beaten him other than Joe Burrow. And he doesn't have a Super Bowl title and missed the playoffs the last 2 years. Jalen Hurts has the resume to suggest that he's a top 5 quarterback. However, these executives made a list and they said that they would rather have other quarterbacks like Mahomes, like Allen, like Burrow, like Lamar, like Jaden Daniels, Matt Stafford, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, before a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. I have to say I disagree with the list, but there's nuance to the conversation when it comes to quarterbacks and where they rank and how we judge quarterbacks and whether or not one should be penalized if they have elite talent around them or if being able to optimize your offense to the umpth degree and operating within your system or within your, playbook, is that something to be frowned upon, or is that something that should be awarded? And then it becomes a conversation of, our system quarterbacks overrated? Should Jalen Hurts be considered a system quarterback? Is he a product of the roster around him, or is he legitimately a top quarterback in the NFL, regardless of how you slice it? And that's something that we're going to kind of dive into in this episode. It's going to be a little bit more longer winded, so I apologize. How could I not give a long-winded answer when it comes to the quarterback in the Philadelphia Eagles after such a hiatus from what was a very, very busy off-season for the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast for reasons outside of football. But without further ado, let's introduce the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I am a Birds fan that talks about the Birds, only the Birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. Please do us a favor here if you want to be part of the discussion and support the journey here. Subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts in the comments section below, and do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on that video. It helps me get out to as many Eagle fans out there as much as possible. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify on our audio platforms, and leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing. And in this economy with inflation going on, you don't want to spend no damn money. I'm not asking for you for a penny. So please, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, help a brother out here. We thank you very much for the support on the opposite side of the camera, on the opposite side of the airwaves. Now, without further ado, let's get on with this list here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up the list. We're going to look at the quarterbacks. I mentioned it before, but we're going to talk about why I think this list is wrong. So here, without further ado, this is the list. The radio audience that's listening, I'm going to list them in order. Video audience can see the quarterback ranking list, at least for the top 10, okay? So here it is. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2 is Josh Allen. Number 3, Joe Burrow. Number 4 is Lamar Jackson. Number 5 is Jaden Daniels, rookie sensation, superstar quarterback. Number 6 is Matt Stafford, who I have tremendous respect for. 7 is Justin Herbert, who I like. Number 8, Jared Goff, again, quarterback I like. Jalen Hurts, our quarterback at 9. Baker Mayfield, and I call him the Muffin Man because that's my guy. Baker Mayfield rounding out the top 10 here. Now, you can look at this list, and no one really has a problem with 1 to 4. You can rank those guys in really any order that you want, but no one has a problem with Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar being ahead of Jalen Hurts. If you do, I think maybe you're just wearing green-colored glasses, because I think in a vacuum, you look at those 4 quarterbacks, the top 4 guys, and you say those guys are top notch. They're just spectacular players, individual of themselves. Like they are phenomenal football players. Not that these guys aren't, but you get my point. Pat Mahomes has all the titles. Josh Allen, elite quarterback. Lamar Jackson, elite quarterback. Joe Burrow, I personally think, is the second best quarterback in football, despite missing the playoffs 2 years in a row. He has to make the playoffs, by the way, or else he's going to have a big problem. But nonetheless, and then, top 5, I would put Jalen Hurts at 5. That would be my assessment there. So having Jaden Daniels at number 5 after 1 year, I understand why the quarterback rankings are this way. Okay, because you have to look at this and say, if you were to do a draft, for example, okay, let me lower this list down so you get a close up of my beautiful face. If you were to do a quarterback's draft, okay, you have no roster, everyone's got a blank slate rather, and you have to draft quarterback number 1. Who are the guys that you're taking? That list, here, I'll pull it up again just to kind of illustrate the point. Everybody, or at least the majority of the executives in the NFL, are going to take Patrick Mahomes. Maybe they'll take Josh Allen over Mahomes, but regardless, you're taking Mahomes, and if not him, you're taking Allen, and if not him, you're taking Burrow, and if not him, you're taking Lamar. No complaints. But then you got to look at, say, hey, I got to think about the next decade of my team here. Who do I want to be the pillar of my franchise? It's understandable to put a guy like Jaden Daniels there. Because listen, in a vacuum, in the regular season, you can look at Jaden Daniels and say, it's the best rookie season we've ever seen. It's what he came in as polished of a quarterback as you could probably have in the National Football League. And he's in Washington. We got to play that son of a bitch twice a week. No disrespect to you, JD. I just hate you as a Eagle fan, but you get my point. I love your game. So executives are going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the 22, 23, 24-year-old rookie sensation who came into a morbid franchise in Washington and brought them to the NFC title game virtually by his playing, obviously other plays and more structure around him, but he is the key cog in that wheel, right? Then you look at Matt Stafford, who in the postseason, since he's been to LA, he has been excellent. I mean, excellent. He has not had he does not have bad games as a Ram in the playoffs. He's lost 2 games, I believe, as a Ram. One against the Eagles, which, if we all remember, he was driving down the field, potentially getting a go-ahead score to steal one in Philly until Jalen Carter made the spectacular play. But he was on the road in Philly, marching down the field to potentially win that game on the road. And then the other game that he lost was against Detroit, I believe the year before, and that was a 1-point game. And Stafford was excellent. I mean, wheeling and dealing in that game. Like, he is as good as any quarterback that you can have in the National Football League. Arm talent, arm strength, cerebral, clutch. He's as good as it gets when he's cooking. I'll tell you this, in regards to Matt Stafford, because here's a hot take for people. Outside of Mahomes and Joe Burrow, if I needed a drive for my life, I'd take him over Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, that is. I'd take him over Lamar. 100% twice on Sunday. And then on that note, you can argue Jalen Hurts can be in that conversation as well. But we'll get to him in just a moment. And then after that, you got to look at some of the other guys on the list. Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, and obviously Baker Mayfield has a good playoff record. I think he's a really good quarterback. I just don't think right now you can say he's better than Jalen Hurts. But Justin Herbert and Jared Goff, and again, I think executives look at that conversation with the quarterbacks and say, hey, I'm building from the bottom up quarterback draft. I need to build this guy in a lab. You're looking at a guy like Justin Herbert and you're saying he's got everything you need at quarterback. Big arm, tall, tough. I believe it or I mean, I know it's the Chargers and he doesn't have a great playoff resume like at all. He actually awful in the playoffs. But time after time, I look at Justin Herbert and I say, well, damn, he's the only reason a lot of the times the Chargers are ever in the games that they're in outside of last season because, you know, Jim Harbaugh's there, takes new regime. I'm sure they're going to be much better going forward. But regardless, there's times where I'm looking at this and I'm like, damn, that guy can just fling that damn football. And he is really damn good at quarterback. Like I love me some Justin Herbert. And again, it's not a matter of whether or not I believe he's going to be able to do big time things in the playoffs. Listen, Peyton Manning had his struggles in the playoffs too. Okay. So it's not out of the realm of comprehension to see a super talented quarterback who has elite traits and who has all this ability not come up big in the postseason. Okay. Peyton Manning had this struggle. Justin Herbert has that struggle and he has to get that monkey off his back, which is why I disagree with him being at 7 as opposed to, you know, putting him further down on the list. Okay. Like you can't have the playoff resume that you have with Justin Herbert and say that he's better than Baker Mayfield, say that he's better than Jalen Hurts. Hell, even say that he's better than Jared Goff. After all, Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl. He's gotten to an NFC title game 2 times in his career. That matters. Again, this isn't a list of saying, hey, what's the rankings of quarterbacks right now? That list right there is saying, hey, if I had to start my franchise, who am I picking right now to be my quarterback? That's why that list is the way it is. I happen to disagree with it, but that's why the list is the way it is. It's why they have Jaden Daniels ahead of Jalen Hurts. It's why they have a guy like Justin Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts. And with Jared Goff, you could say what you want about Jared Goff. He's had elite numbers for the past couple of years in that Detroit's offense. Now, we'll see what he looks like without Ben Johnson. Because he's had Sean McVay in his career and he's had Ben Johnson in his career. 2 of the better play callers in the National Football League. Right? Again, do I agree with Jalen Hurts being number 9 on that list? Hell no, I don't. I think it's flawed. I think just by resume alone, just by what he's done in the league, how much of a nightmare he is for defensive coordinators and other players on the opposite side of the field, Jalen Hurts should get top 5 respect. I believe that. Now, do I believe it's insulting to suggest that in a vacuum, Jalen Hurts isn't an elite quarterback? No. I've talked about it on shows past. Jalen Hurts, outside of him being, I believe, one of the top 2 or 3 smartest quarterbacks in the National Football League and being the best decision maker in football, he doesn't have an elite arm. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He doesn't have the best touch. His footwork is inconsistent at best. But what he is, consistent, steady, stoic, clutch, not afraid of the big moment, unflappable. All the elite traits that you would want in a leader for a locker room, for a football team, he's that guy. And I think a lot of pundits don't necessarily value those things because they don't show up on a box score. And that's how guys get paid in the league. You get paid by your numbers, and you can look at Jalen Hurts' numbers, and I'm going to tell you that they're a lot more elite than they lead on. But You look at it and they say, oh, he threw for 18 touchdowns last season. Didn't even hit the 3,000 yard mark. And you want to tell me that guy's a top 5 quarterback? Again, on the surface, you look at it and you say, there's no way he's a top 5 quarterback. But again, results speak for themselves. And when he's on the field, Philadelphia does not lose many games. That's just fact. And you could credit it to the roster around him, and you could credit it to what Howie, Nick, and Jeffrey Lurie have built around Jalen Hurts. But no matter what you say, when he's at the helm, he's elite. He's winning games, and that's the objective of a quarterback.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.